Alright, so here's the Alpine MRX-M240 that would kick off after a while of playing, or shortly after being turned on. Right now I have it hooked up at 2 ohm load to those two pulses for testing. This amp puts out its power at 2 ohms, so I'm not going to drop it any lower than that. But I have it sitting at the battery right now, hooked up to it. 2 ohm load going into it. This fuse, I believe, was the problem. The fuse is still good, but there's some oxidation on it, and I believe it was making a bad contact on there, on the two contact points right here and here. I measured voltage straight from the power, or the negative terminal here to right here, and it was the same as the positive terminal. But then measure it right here on this terminal, and it was like 9 volts or so. Turn the amp off and measure between here, and there was about a 0.8 ohm load resistance, not load, sorry, between the two terminals, which there should be 0. So I flipped the fuse over. I'm going to clean it up a little bit better, but I cleaned up the other side before I flip it over. You can see there's it's like slight burn marks from where it was connected, barely touching, and it couldn't handle the load once it got cranked up. But anyway, I got my amp meter right here. Go ahead and zero it out. Put it on the positive terminal here. I'll turn it on. It's going to be playing a 35 hertz tone there. Turn it on. I'll just jump out the two things right here. I have it hooked up for 4 gauge, or with 4 gauge right now, because that's just short periods of little burps. I can play it. I left it on for about 30 minutes or so, low to moderate volume. But I have the gain. I can turn up the gain a little bit over here, just slightly. It's putting out roughly 1.5 to 2 volts of signal input into the amp. And if I can find my little screwdriver here, I can turn it up. Alright, so right now we're roughly 3 amps input into the amp. I'm not able to crank it for long periods because the voltage drops, which I am monitoring right here. As you see, it's roughly 13.9 or so. I got it on a battery charger to keep it up. It's a 10 amp battery charger, so obviously the battery charger is not really doing much to supply the amp. But anyway, if I turn up the gain here, as you see, and I'll let you watch this go up. I'll be watching the voltage from the battery to make sure it doesn't drop below 11 volts. That's usually the lowest I'll ever run it. It's 11 volts at the most. Like I said, I can't run it for long periods, but the voltage dropped down to about 11 volts, and I cranked it back off. It's hard to see here. Slowly rising back up as the battery charger gets going. It never kicked off once. It's a 2 ohm load, so this is average, or a real scenario here, basically. As to what would happen if it was hooked up in your car. and it is definitely still good. So I believe the fuse was definitely the issue. I got it fixed here. So I'll just clean it up, and that'll be it. I don't know if you saw that. I think it got up to maybe around 140 amps or so. I was paying attention to the voltage. So that wasn't clamping the amp, that was just showing the current input, so you know that I was definitely turning it up to its full potential almost for that short amount of time there. So